We'll call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes?
Move to approve.
Anybody?
Second.
Motion second to approve. All those in favor? I'm sorry, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Approve the claims in the amount of $681,208.52.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Discussion? Oh, you got something to say, Mike? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action to approve the purchase of shade structures for White Camp Park in the amount of $21,489.12.
All right. Good evening, Finance Committee. Michael Moraz, Director of Public Works and Parks. So in front of you tonight is a proposal to purchase some shade structures for White Camp Park, specifically for the new splash pad that is being constructed right now. We have money designated in the 2025 capital improvement plan to purchase said structures. There's $30,000 in that account for this purchase. I had reached out to a couple of companies that have cantilevered type structures and presented that to Park Board this last week, Tuesday, and they recommended the purchase of the two structures from MWP Recreation in the stated amount. The reason why they decided to go this way is because the other two structures, we could only purchase one with the money that we had. So the one from MWP, you were able to get two. The only caveat is they have a fabric awning for the shade versus the other two, which are more of a steel type. And I was leaning towards the steel at first, but then the price kind of swayed me to the other direction to make that recommendation. Then the other thing too is we have fabric shade structures on the universal playground up at the playground, and that playground's been in for 10, 12 years. We haven't had a problem with the fabric. So with that being said, that kind of eased my fears. And so with that, Park Board recommended the purchase of the ones from MWP Recreation.
So not this brown one?
Not the brown one. Nope. It's going to be more of the blue with the fabric top. I think it's the first one. Yep. In your packet. Yep.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Any discussion?
They're, they seem a little off balance, but obviously they're a successful model.
Yep.
I mean, just the way that, could the wind sweep under it?
Correct.
Especially when it's fabric? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I have no reservations about it. And I went with the cantilevered because I've seen other, splash pads and pools. They have these. We'll have enough money to buy some benches to put underneath them. And they fit nicely up against the splash pad. They'll look really nice. So.
Because there's fewer poles there?
Yeah, correct.
And does this company offer replacement for the
Yes.
fabric? If maybe
Yep.
10 years we do decide we want to upgrade or something's worn?
Yep.
We can purchase that?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
What was the height of it?
So it's 8 feet tall.
So it's sort of out of reach with people hanging on it and bending?
Yeah, that was a question that was brought up at Park Board. Even if we built just a standard shade structure, they can get up to the trusses and reach and stuff like that. So I'm not overly concerned about it. It is out in the open. I mean, if we do have problems with it, we'll address it in the future, but
Okay.
no.
Okay, one other question, Mike, and you and I have talked about this, but the other structure that came down,
Right.
fell down,
Yeah.
any plans on?
Yeah, so that was donated by the Girl Scouts, kind of in that same time frame, 10, 15 years ago. Our plan was to try to salvage that unit. Upon further inspection, we did take the roof off of it, and the fascia boards are rotten, some of the underlayment is rotten, and it's just not worth the money to reinvest in it, in my opinion. So we're salvaging some of the beams, but beyond that, we're not replacing at this time.
Right, I know not at this time, but are we going to have plans? Is it going to be in the CIP or?
Yeah, we'll add something to the CIP in White Camp Park somewhere. Probably looking on top of the hill where all the families sled, on the starting point. I think that'd be a good spot for one overlooking the park. But I was going to reach out to the Girl Scouts and see if they would be interested in partnering with us in the future as well.
There you go.
So.
Or anybody else. If
Yeah,
they
or
want
anybody
to.
else. Yeah.
Every time I've been out there, it's been utilized.
Oh yeah,
There's always
absolutely.
people in it.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. All right, anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thanks, Mike. Discussion and possible action of 2026 infrastructure projects pending final budget and capital improvement plan approval.
I guess I'll take this one too.
Welcome back.
Yeah. All right. I believe Aaron McPhee Anderson's going to be here for council, but hold on, let me get to the issue sheet. So this is the proposed 2026 infrastructure projects. This has been presented to Public Works Committee in the past. So nothing much has changed coming out of that committee. We just want to get it in front of finance and council to approve the projects that are identified so that our engineering staff can start working on some of the preliminary designs, with the goal being to bid this out in January after the new year. So as you can see I don't know if you want me to go through the projects themselves first and then go through the funding. How would you like me to do that? If I go through the projects first?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So the projects first are Burl Oak Curve neighborhood. All the projects are mill and overlay. So there's the Burl Oak Curve neighborhood. We have identified the rest of Laurel Avenue and 17th Street as a mill and overlay. Hazelcrest Drive and Hazelcrest Court, the Hudson Meadows neighborhood as a mill and overlay, and then there are some First Street curb ramp replacements, some alleys in the downtown area, and then replacing whatever funds we have left, replacing as much as we can of the trail along Crestview Drive, beginning at Hagan Street, going east to try to get to at least Festival, to connect to their trail that they just redid, and beyond that if we have funds available, just because now with the new walking path on 11th Street, people walking to the store, so on and so forth. So, with that being said, the funding is as follows. So in 2026, we have identified 2.5 million to go into street improvements, okay? There is, let's see, how does she have this listed here? Mill and overlay, 1 million. Pavement reclamation on 17th, Hazelcrest Drive and Hazel Court is 1.3, and then there's monies allocated to continue the Locust Street final design at 300,000. So for next year, we're looking at 2.6 million for the roadway projects, and then the other projects, this would include the trail, the ramps, and some various locations on sidewalk and curb replacement that we've accumulated, and the alleyways. That total is estimated to be 295,000. Okay. So if you go further down, the funding is the 2.5 million, which is allocated in the 2026 CIP, and then there are some remaining funds in 2025 based on some of the bids that came in. So that gets us to the 2.6 to take care of the roadway projects portion. And then if you go further down, the other infrastructure funds, there's 445,000 in the CIP from 2025 to 2027 to cover the cost of the 295,000 that she has estimated. So, any questions? I know that's kind of a quick purview of that. If you have any,
Your numbers don't add up in the 2026 other projects.
no, they don't. So what is the quick math on that?
445.
Thank you. Which would match what she has identified in the infrastructure funds below.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
The alleyways, right?
Yeah, correct.
Could you comment on the alleyways and what level of work they're going to need?
Yep, so.
A reconstruction?
Yep. So removal of the asphalt pavement, regrading, reshaping, recompacting, and then putting a new asphalt layer back on. There is one in the plans. I think there is some stormwater work that would need to be repaired or replaced, a catch basin.
Those
Yeah,
areas.
yep.
And no disagreement that the alleys, they need work in
Yeah.
town. And I know that for a number of years, you and our city engineering staff have planned those expenses. Am I correct that with that level of repair, it does indicate that the homeowners will be assessed for some of the work?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so there will be an assessment to that.
Yep.
Thank you. When we talk about the plan, because, professional staff leads us in that, and we've made a CIP in the past, how much of this, am I correct, I'm looking at Sam now, that we haven't decided whether we're going to bond for this much money, yet the staff needs to begin their preparation for it in case we do?
Yeah,
Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, some of this has been bonded for, so there was $50,000 for alley reconstruction, sidewalk improvement, each
That we've
in the
budgeted
2025 bonding
regularly,
that we just
okay,
did.
sure.
So that money is there and set aside for that. And then in the 26-27 that was proposed at the last council meeting, that also has $50,000 each year for alley and construction, but that bonding has not been done, correct?
So basically, what we're being asked.
Yeah, it's
and
kind
this
of
is
a
partly for the
cart.
engineering.
Yeah, it's kind of a cart before the horse type of deal, right? Obviously, we have discussed bonding at the previous meeting. And if you're, approving this plan, you're kind of saying, yes, we agree with it. Our staff can go out knowing that the funds will eventually come in if you approve the bonds. Now, if you're not comfortable, approving that full 2.5 million, you need to let us know now so that we're not wasting engineering time out in the field with projects that we're not going to do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and that will be up to the full council to decide in
Yeah.
the next month or so. But one thing I do want to state, and I have tried to offer that appreciation, that Hudson didn't always have an engineering staff. We didn't always have in-house engineering. And there are some projects that they can do as part of their, in addition to all the other things they're doing, with the new development and so on. And so that definitely does save the city. And I appreciate that when they identify a project, that if they get enough of a head start, they're able to have the in-house work done rather than contracting out, because we certainly have had to contract out a lot, and it costs the city a lot of money when we have to hire outside engineering. So this has all been discussed, but yes, I still think it's a fair discussion. Are we identifying the streets?
Correct.
And the right, and again, it's not something that, I guess we've talked about this before, you don't just pull these out of the hat. You've got a long-term plan based on PASER ratings, various things, concerns in those neighborhoods. So I appreciate a lot of work has gone into this, so I don't mean to try to stall it or put it off. I just think we, and the public, should have a good understanding of what we're up to.
Well, and keep in mind, at any point, even if an RFP goes out, request for proposal for any of the projects go out, you can always pull that RFP, right? So, but you do have to do some of the prep work getting to the point of putting it out for a request for proposals. Now, if we do that and next spring you decide you don't want to bond for as much, right? You can make that choice next spring as well.
Right, and I hope that the work wouldn't be wasted.
Yeah.
It's true, I mean, their desks are full of projects to work on. But it has been my understanding in the past is, these are on the top of the list. We need to do them in the near future.
And I guess I should refrain that. It's not so much it's wasted. Obviously, when they do design or they do survey work and all that stuff that goes into their plan set, that plan can be shelved, because we've done that with projects in the past. They'll just shelve that plan, and when we do have funds available, that work's already done. They just pull it off. As long as the road doesn't deteriorate more, we don't wait another 15, 20 years. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's not wasted by any means.
But they do appreciate having a head start.
Oh, absolutely.
To start working on it, because then we can take advantage of the fact that we have an in-house engineering team.
Correct. Yep, because
So-
we have all the equipment, total station to do all the topo, staking, survey, everything. We can do it all in-house.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thanks, Mike. I don't have anything. Anybody?
Move to adjourn.
I do, excuse me, if I could, I just have one comment that I wanted to share. I am sorry that I missed the previous meeting, the first meeting in September. I didn't look at the calendar appropriately, and I thought we wouldn't meet that week because it was Labor Day, so I did miss some important meetings. And I apologize for that. Thankfully, with River Channels, I was able to listen to the conversations and know all of what went on. And the only reason I'm speaking out tonight is I was surprised to hear my name mentioned, and then I was being quoted about an issue that I think I was being misquoted. So I'm referring to the comment about the Robert Rules of Order and whether we should have a special meeting and a training session about it. And that was a meeting earlier this summer in which I realized that I caused some frustration for one of our council members. But what I intended, and I believe I did say that night, is I would be very happy if we followed our municipal code. And as far as the first reading, that's more strongly written in our municipal code. I think there's guidelines in Robert's Rules of Order. And so I just wanted to set the record straight that I was not personally asking for a sit-down session on Robert's Rules of Order. In fact, I already have my own personal copy, and just to show no hard feelings, I'm going to ask Randy to sign it for me. And,
Don't sign it, Robert.
Second. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Most recent edition.
Well, it's actually in brief, but it's not for dummies. I did take offense to that. He said he wanted Robert's Rules of
Well,
Order.
I said that for my own personal.
Okay. Anyway, yes, the municipal code, it's always good to be up on it, and Robert's Rules of Order too. So at any rate,
Right.
thank you for
That's
my
right.
moment.
Anybody else?
I will second the motion to adjourn.
All right, motion second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Bye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned. Thanks, everyone. All right, we'll call the city council meeting to order. Everybody stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, take the roll.
Mayor O'Connor.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Wakefield.
Here.
Knudsen. Here. Kennedy.
Here.
Brooke. Here. Hall.
Here.
All right, first thing up is comments and suggestions from citizens present. This is your opportunity to talk about any issue that you feel the city faces, and as long as it's not on tonight's agenda. If you do have a comment, please come forward to the podium, identify yourself, your address, try to keep your comments brief, and try not to repeat other people's comments. Yes, sir.
Nicholas Kramer, 50 Meadowlark. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is now my third time appearing before this council and its committees, asking you to uphold, defend, and secure our Fourth Amendment rights by taking flock cameras out of our city. I brought this before the last Public Safety Committee, but tonight I want to reiterate and inform the council as a whole once again. A normal traffic camera serves limited purposes: monitoring traffic flow, spotting accidents, and general public observation. They record video, but generally aren't storing and indexing every passing vehicle or person in a centralized database. Case law makes it clear that this type of limited monitoring is legal and constitutional. Flock cameras are something entirely different. They don't just record. They scan every vehicle that passes, log the exact time, date, GPS location, and identifying details, and then upload that into Flock's AI database. Police and other agencies can use that data to reconstruct where someone has been for days, weeks, or even months. This data is often shared automatically with other police departments across the country and even with the federal government. Agencies have been caught using that data to track down women suspected of getting an abortion, people suspected of being illegal immigrants, wives and girlfriends suspected of cheating. That list goes on and on. This is an untenable, unjustifiable, and indigestible intrusion into the private lives of our residents. Recently, Flock introduced Nova. Nova will knit the data collected from Flock's camera system with all manner of personal information. Property and occupancy data, social security numbers, credit bureau histories, all uploaded into Flock's AI database. Every detail of your life filtered, sorted, recorded, and cataloged with no warrant, no cause, and no consent. With nothing more than a last name or a vague description, I could piece together the rhythm of your entire daily life. Where you go after work on a Tuesday, how often you visit a certain address, what doctor's office you might go to, the intimate patterns of your world, again, all cataloged, all trackable, without your knowledge or consent. Courts are already sounding the alarms. The Institute for Justice has filed a federal lawsuit against Flock's deployment in Virginia. In February, Chief Judge Davis of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia cited Carpenter v. United States in his ruling to allow that case to proceed. He wrote, "A reasonable person could believe that society's expectations as laid out by the court in Carpenter are being violated by the Norfolk Flock system." He went further, noting the striking similarities to Carpenter, where the Supreme Court found it unconstitutional for law enforcement to secretly monitor and catalog the whole of an individual's movements over time. That is exactly what Flock does. At best, Hudson is participating in a practice that a federal judge has already warned a reasonable person could find unconstitutional. This council must move with the violence of action to secure the rights of Hudson residents. Over the last few meetings, I've done my best to make this council and its committees aware of the danger that Flock poses to the Fourth Amendment. Now the responsibility is in your hands. You are on the front lines of a 250-year struggle to protect, defend, and uphold the rights our founding fathers put to paper in halls not all that different than this one. When the choice feels difficult, I urge you to remember the words of John Adams: "Stand on principle even if you stand alone." I hope at least one of you takes that stand for liberty, for the Constitution, and for the people of Hudson. I'll also note, I know you guys are hunting for about $80,000 in the budget. Each one of these cameras costs between $2,500 and $3,000 a year. The city doesn't own that equipment, it leases it from Flock. The city doesn't own that data, they lease it from Flock. there's been instances where Flock has been caught selling that data to other companies in the same sphere, who in turn will sell it to private entities that are using that data, right? So you drive past Walmart, Flock sees that you drive past Walmart, guess what? You're gonna get an ad on your phone that you drove past Walmart, right? This is an unbelievable intrusion into our rights. I'm disappointed that my appearance in front of the Public Safety Committee didn't render any fruit. I've been told that it requires their suggestion, their recommendation, that that topic is brought before this council. But as I understand, at the end of this meeting, you guys will have an opportunity to introduce things for future agenda items. And I encourage you to take that stand that John Adams would and put it in front of the public. Allow the people to know and understand the threats that they're under by the Fourth Amendment. I mentioned in the Public Safety meeting, Public Safety Committee, that I didn't think that Chief Whelan brought us down this path with the intention of violating our rights. Flock has spent $92 million in the last year on lobbying police departments to install these cameras. I think it's a symptom of the times that we're in, and it's an opportunity for you guys to put up that wall and say, not in our city. We don't want it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any other comments? Any other comments? Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. Consent agenda.
Approve the meeting minutes from the September 2nd, 2025 regular council meeting and the September 8th, 2025 special council meeting. Approve the claims in the amount of $681,208.52. Approve 3rd Street Halloween event and street closure. Approve River Valley Deer Management Agreement.
To pull that one.
Approve Hagan Street, Hanley Road intersection concern. Approve the purchase of shade structures for Wet Camp Park in the amount of $21,489.12. Approve the memorial application from Mary Abel. Approve the memorial application from Don and Janice Buckholtz. Approve the lease extension for space at 18 Buckeye Street to St. Croix Sailing School. Approve a conditional use permit for a medical office clinic in the I-1 Light Industrial Zoning District at 727 2nd Street, Cat Hopkins.
I'd like to ask you to pull that item, please.
Approve a follow-up review of Lift Bridge Brewing final development plans at 2321 Archer Avenue, Schaefer Richardson. Approve a final development plan review, conditional use permit, and certified survey map of Heritage Green Place Townhomes at St. Croix County Tax Parcel 236-2046-01-000 Divine Custom Homes.
Would you please pull that one too, please?
And approve a conditional use permit for application at 900 Industrial Street, St. Croix Laundromat.
Pull that one too, please.
I'll move to approve with the exception of D, J, L, and M.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the consent agenda with the exception of items D, J, L, and M. Was there a second? Oh, there was a second. Roll call?
Morissette?
Yes.
Wakefield?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Brooke?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Motion's approved. Consent agenda is approved without those specified items. Item D.
Item D, there's some housekeeping errors, and Joyce, you had brought it up at Public Safety as well. They're still under background information. It says North Hudson a couple different times. And it questions to me if this is just a cut, paste, and copy. Are the numbers correct? I'm concerned that this is not accurate. And there's been more and more deer. People are complaining more. I don't know if this accurate or not, because he's just cut and pasting the old contract.
So with respect to what, Randy?
Well, with regards of the herd that was, the herd's population, how many we've taken out, how many more we need to take out, et cetera, but it's just sloppy work. Not picking on it, but this is a legal document, it needs to be correct.
Okay.
I
And
did note that there was also a reference, and I'm assuming a group of hunters also services North Hudson, because there was in one of the paragraphs a reference to the deer herd growing in North Hudson, so typo maybe, but like you said, maybe, you want to know more how many deer have been removed every year? Is that what your interest is?
Well, we've just assumed that it's going good. We don't get often enough reports back from them that I'm aware of. I think I've asked for the last 3 months, and I've gotten a sporadic report here and there. But Mr. Fay and his group should come in here and qualify this.
so I actually had a conversation with him in
Okay.
the past week, and I believe that he has a group of 5 or 6 that can go out. They have licenses for 5, I believe, does and a buck. So, and they usually hit their limit, so we're talking 30-some deer, right? That have been removed or could be removed. I asked him specifically if he was interested in adding to the number of hunters, and he said absolutely. So he's supposed to be contacting Brent and talking to him about how we go about advertising for the hunters. And one thing that he made very clear is that he wants to be, presuming he's in charge of this, right? That he wants to be in absolute control over who those hunters are and the qualifications for them.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would say, yes, that's good, but, so that was the conversation we had. I think the ball is in his court right now. Relative to that, I don't disagree with you. It would be good to have him in. I think he was in here last time we did this, wasn't he?
No.
I think so. I don't think
2
so.
years
I
ago,
thought
maybe.
2 years ago. I know he was here. I know he's been here, but I don't know that we've actually had a report on the numbers themselves that have been removed.
Way back we have.
But I think everybody understands that we are overrun.
Well, I do think one issue, because I haven't spoken to Lon this year, but I did last summer, about concerns in my neighborhood. And one of the things that has evolved over the years, because they have done this program for a number of years for the city, is that some people in our town don't like this.
Yep.
They're upset about deer being
Right.
removed, killed. And so the River Valley Deer Management has required any homeowner who would like to have it in their neighborhood to get permission from, I'm going to guess, is it 100 feet from their residence?
Something like that.
So in other words, it's on the neighborhood to say, yes, we would like you to hunt here, because everybody knows, hopefully the deer are taken out successfully and quickly, but they can run after they've been shot, with even with a powerful bow. So that was the concern, is that they don't want a neighbor to discover that they died in their yard and that they weren't on board with the program.
Well, they are required by state.
Yes, and so, I
hunting.
mean, I think it's good that we're talking about it today, just to get attention to it, because we have a lot of deer in Hudson, and if more neighborhoods, that could be something that's holding them back, Randy, is not enough neighborhoods are saying, yes, we're gonna okay this in this radius, and someone needs to spearhead that, so be worth looking into. I appreciate you bringing it up, because it's important to highlight. It's a good program. They've been
Yeah,
very
I've
successful.
referred people to Lon who are either interested in hunting or interested in having somebody there, or willing to host somebody on their property. And, because he wants to develop a database of properties that are okay to hunt from, so.
Right.
But if they shoot a deer, by state law, they gotta ask permission to go on the land to retrieve it, and they're supposed to follow it.
And of course, they're trying to do this before people wake up in the morning.
Yes.
Very early hunting, so that it is not something
Yes.
difficult for people.
They don't
to
want
know.
anybody to see them, because they don't want to upset anybody.
The other thing I would mention too, just from a cleanup perspective, I just asked Becky if we receive waivers, there's a provision in here that indicates that that the hunters will sign a city waiver, and those waivers will be provided to the city. And I don't know that we do.
I haven't seen any.
So from the perspective, we haven't been involved in reviewing the agreement, but in terms of, kind of thinking about hunting in close proximity and making sure that the city is protected from any liability, we want to make sure that we get those waivers from any hunters, and in particular those that are added to the program as well.
Well, I will move that we have city administrator and mayor execute this contract after it is updated and cleaned up. Because I don't think we should wait, because the season opened yesterday, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All right, we have motion and second. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Item J, approve a conditional use permit for a medical office clinic at an L1 Light Industrial Zoning District at 727 2nd Street, Cat Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did address some questions to our Community Development Director today, Mike Johnson, so he's here to answer some of those. The reason I pulled it from the consent agenda is just that I think it's important to have a discussion about it. The Plan Commission had a thorough discussion. The neighborhood meeting was well attended with many good questions that were addressed, concerns about parking and business hours and so on. If anyone listening doesn't know, the property we're talking about is what we always refer to as the former Nor Lake building, which countless hours of discussion went into this property a year and a half ago when there was a proposal for a different use, which then did not get fully approved. So one of the things I think that came as a surprise to some of the neighbors and the residents was that the rezoning process that the Plan Commission and the council had gone through actually never got the final stamp to implement it. So this property is still rated light industrial, I-1 in our zoning code, and I just think that brings up some areas of concern and questions, and so I wanted to ask Mike, he knows some of my concerns. I'll just let you take it from there, and I may have more questions for you.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good place to start. Yes, obviously a couple years ago now, or time moves so fast. The rezoning was approved to go from I-1 to B4. And B4 is that transitional zoning district we have from B3 to B4. And then that's a hard stop from expansion of our downtown business district. So after approval of the rezoning, initially, the owner of the property rescinded his application and requested that we do not rezone that. That's the owner of the property. He has the right to do so, or that individual did. So that's just kind of clarity on what occurred since the previous application. The new applicant obviously is desirous of operating this medical clinic type facility, which obviously everything is stated in the year sheet. I don't need to walk through all the points, but that is a use that we can allow through that CUP process in an I-1 district, but would not be allowed in a B4 district. So the applicant was advised to maintain the I-1 zoning district and go from there. So a lot of good discussion, a lot of good community feedback. Obviously, like as Councilmember Knudsen stated, there was a neighborhood meeting, well attended, pretty well attended. So the applicant, I believe, is here, so I'll entertain any questions if necessary.
It
Go ahead,
did
yeah.
come out of Plan Commission 7-0 in
Yes,
favor,
yes.
and I don't believe there was any negative comments.
No, we did not receive any negative
Well,
comments.
issues and concerns were spoken about and addressed, and I do appreciate that, Randy, and I welcome this business in Hudson. I am not at all trying to throw up a roadblock, but I do think it's an important issue that we should discuss and not have just sometimes the consent agenda just feels like a rubber stamp. And it's really our job to discuss it. We are the ones that were elected for these decisions, and zoning changes fall on us. So I just felt it was worth more of a discussion. That's partly why, again, I do not oppose the office. It seems like the neighbors are open to it. I do think having a discussion and reiterating the concerns about parking in the parking lot, and I do see that the staff has added with recommended action item 8 that there's signage saying no clinic parking on the street, because according to the business plan that's been presented, the clinic will be able to operate with the parking allotted in their parking lot.
Correct.
So, sometimes people want to park on the street for some reason, but we're really going to try and discourage that so that neighbors don't feel that it's encroaching there. And of course, it's always interesting to hear the history. Randy, you've lived here and served a long time. But yes, when Fred, Jorg, and Pat Casanova chime in on the old days, with Norlake, and, that's always interesting. And when I talked to Mike today, I said, well, this is Hudson for you. We're kind of growing up and changing. And in 10 years, somebody might look back and say, well, why is that still light industrial? Why didn't that get changed? And I just feel like it's worth a discussion. I did even say to Mike, and I don't want to hold up this business plan of the medical clinic moving forward, but I almost wondered, should we change our zoning before to allow a medical clinic with a CUP, controlled, adequate parking and so on, because that's what's holding them up from going ahead with the rezoning. So one of my concerns is definitely, let's say for whatever reason, business is so successful, they decide on a different location, whatever it might be, that building is still going to be light industrial. And what are the sort of things that might come in here that would be less desirable than the medical clinic? That's my concern a little bit, is that we're leaving that on the table and not changing it. And I wonder if it's our zoning that's at fault. That, before transitional, should we allow a small medical? But again, that would require a whole different process. But I just wanted to bring that forward. And one specific thing I did want to ask about, because the code does talk about, when we talk about off-street parking, if I'm not mistaken, that is a gravel parking lot at this moment. Is there a plan to pave that? What are you recommending as community development team, Mike, for the parking lot?
Well, I think long-term, yes, and design it accordingly. I mean, it is a dustless surface currently.
Well, that's what it's specified in the code, correct?
Right.
Not causing dust and...
Correct.
See, I always think of a gravel road as being very dusty, but maybe a parking lot, you don't have the speed up to, like those farms in Iowa. Okay. Would it be okay if I ask the property, the applicants, what your plans are for the parking lot?
We can share. I'm good with that. Hi, Jason Hopkins. This is my wife, Kat Hopkins. So to address your comment about the parking lot, we are working with a general contractor currently to look at redesigning that parking lot. We are budgeting curb and gutter. We are looking at asphalt. We're also looking at a handicap accessible entrance on the east side so that patrons can enter through the ground floor rather than through the Second Street entrance. That also requires us to put in a lift, which Norlake removed, so that we could safely get people from ground level up to what's called third level in that building. Timing is going to be interesting because right now with asphalt, I think we have until the end of October before we can safely do first coat. We don't know if we're going to make that timeline. But the plan is to actually put asphalt in. We would certainly work with you on the redesign. We understand on the First Street side, some of the embankment is in need of repair. So we want to look at that. We're looking at potentially block wall, very similar to the condo building next door, to bring that aesthetic forward. Also working with you to look at how much green space we need for runoff, et cetera. We also understand it's, I believe, in a DNR zone. So again, we want to do everything that is required and design it appropriately before we move forward with it.
That's great. I did notice in the code about the gravel driveway, and as Mike and I talked about that today, a paved and impervious surface right next to the river, yes, it needs to be well designed for a catch basin or whatever so that water does not run off. I believe it's a little bit of a grade, but I don't know how much you can correct that. But I appreciate your thoroughness and looking into that, and thanks for being available for questions. Again, I just thought it was an important project, and we've discussed that building at great length, and the neighbors are invested in what happens there. So I wish you success. Yeah, wish you success in the
Thank you. We're
location.
hoping to bring your pride back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Were the neighbors concerned about the amount of traffic going in and out of that parking lot?
It was raised during the community meeting. We provided our estimates as far as how many vehicles, how many visits per day. We did do the traffic study that was provided during the initial CUP hearing, roughly 2 weeks ago, I think it was. It's not going to be like Norlake, and we do not operate a normal clinic. You know, when she sees patients, the patients are in for 3 to 4 hours. It's not a 15-minute visit. This is not going to be your quote-unquote stereotype family practice medical facility. I'll let you add to it.
It's slow medicine. Yeah. So we see maybe 4 to 5 people a day. A lot of times half of that's telemedicine because I'm licensed in several states. So it's more consulting than a primary care clinic. But we did do a traffic study, just kind of giving Kip those estimates. Too.
Did you buy the building?
We're in the process.
This is part of it.
Yes.
The CUP is a condition. We want to make sure we can operate first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thank you for
Thank you.
Thanks for your input. That was all of my questions today. And
You have a motion?
Mike, unless you have anything else.
Motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Item L, approve a final development plan review, conditional use permit, and certified survey map of Heritage Green Place Townhomes at St. Croix County Tax Parcel 236-2046-01-000, Divine Custom Homes.
I pulled that, like Joy, wanted to discuss this because there were some concerns about traffic going in and out of that, because there are already some issues in that area. In fact, I got a letter or an email from a resident saying that they were concerned about that. So wanted to make sure that the public was aware of the issue and your thoughts on that, Mike.
Right. I mean, our future land use plan, which has already been amended, had contemplated neighborhood commercial for that space. A residential use with 7 buildings with 24 total units, you know, and the traffic is stated in the issue sheet, you know, I think we're looking at 142 trips in and out per weekday.
Okay.
Is relatively de minimis for a residential street. That being said, obviously there, you know, are concerns, you know, something gets built next to you, I can understand it. But it is a developable parcel in the city that was always planned to be developed. I think this is probably a lower intensity of use than what could have possibly been there previously, or what was anticipated to be there previously.
Sure.
Yeah.
Convenience store, I should say.
Could have been.
Well, a gas station, like a
Or
Quick Trip
even
would have
like a
been.
coffee shop or something like that, right? So
A lot of
it's
traffic going in and out.
I think what the applicant has done is respectful to the community and the neighborhood, fits in with the neighborhood. I have no concerns about the developer and their ability to make it fit in with the neighborhood. I know the applicant's here as well, if you have questions for them directly.
We did talk about our plan commission and the traffic, and they addressed the issue of the parking not on that street.
Oh, that's a good point too, yep.
So they will not be parking on that street.
Okay. They'll be parking in their driveways, you mean?
There's a
It's a private
road
street,
that
it's a
goes
private
behind-
road.
between those, so they'll, when they pull in, their garages will be off of that, not off of the main road.
Anything else? Motion?
I'll move to approve.
A second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Approve a conditional, thanks, Mike. Approve a conditional use permit application at 900 Industrial Street, St. Croix Laundromat.
Again, I wanted to discuss this as a council because they're asking for a liquor license, which we'll be discussing later, but Yeah. Is this something that we want to
You know,
do?
I just, so everybody's clear, we restricted the conversation at Plan Commission to just a conditional use permit. We did not discuss liquor license. That is not within the purview of the Plan Commission and is strictly the purview of the council. So the only thing that was discussed was the actual conditional use permit, all right?
So if we approved the conditional use permit, that does not necessarily mean that we would approve the liquor license?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, you got two separate questions. One is the conditional use appropriate for that location? And then the other is, later on, is a liquor license appropriate for that location? You can have one without the other. You can't have the liquor license without a place to have it.
So even though the conditional use permit does state containing a bar lounge, it doesn't apply to that?
No,
Okay.
that was their intent for the conditional use permit, but we were not, the Plan Commission was silent on any type of, it's not even within their authority for any type of recommendation on granting a liquor license.
So conditional use is zoning related. Can you make that particular use at that property? So if you vote to approve the conditional use permit, you are approving the use to happen at that property. The question of permitting is a regulatory question, which only you, the council, have authority to approve, and it's a completely different question. So while the use may be acceptable, you're allowing that particular use in that location. Whether they get a permit or not is fully within your purview, subject to whether you think that they should operate that type of establishment in that location based on the plans that they've submitted.
And you'll also see in recommended action number 5 that the applicant must obtain a liquor license to the city clerk's department prior to serving liquor on site. So that was a condition included in the CUP. Kind of pancaked that in there.
And the conditional use permit just stays with that individual owner. It doesn't transfer if they sell the business.
No.
It runs with the land.
I'm sorry, say that once more.
It runs with the land.
Okay.
And any conditions have to be reasonable.
Runs with the land. So it stays.
It came out of Plan Commission 5-2. So there was some dissent, and including myself, and I still dissent, and I would not approve it. I don't think this is the right spot for that kind of thing. It just doesn't sit well with, I don't think, the area.
One of the comments that was made at the Plan Commission was that Chief Willems had said that it was, that might be helpful. Chief, do you want to give us your opinion, please?
Good evening. What was your question?
So, about the conditional use permit for 900 Industrial Street, the St. Croix Laundromat, there was a comment at the Plan Commission. The owner said that they had talked to you and that you thought that it was a good idea to because there would be somebody monitoring that property if they had a
Yeah, I did speak with him. I don't recall saying that, but I wished him good luck. I don't think that's my decision to make.
Okay. Do you have any opinion on this?
Not offhand, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I've got a question that's sort of, I know, two different subjects, but it sounds like we're kind of getting in that gray area. With this conditional use permit, would that take what's currently a laundromat and turn it into a bar basically? And with that build out, is that enough division to say we have one building and two different businesses in there? I'll flip it around. Will the laundromat always be open when the bar is open, or will the bar always be open when the laundromat's open? Because you'd have to have it staffed to have the bar open.
Right. Operators, yep.
Well, the bar side has to stay within the state statute of operating a bar.
Right.
It closes at what, 1, 2, 2:30, 2 at night?
2 and 2:30.
Yeah. laundromats, sometimes they're open all night.
Right, and again, does closing a door on that side of the laundromat constitute bars that part of the business is closed, but the rest can still operate? Someone wants to do laundry at 6 in the morning, but the bar's not open, now you're going into a bar, I mean, I'm not trying to make this convoluted, but that's how it keeps landing in my brain.
Well,
Someone would have to staff it every time it as a new company would be open.
The answer is yes.
So it would appear from the site plan that's in here, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong or misreading this, but that there's an existing lounge that they propose to add a bar to. And I don't know, I can't tell from the site map if the lounge would be closed or locked when the bar is not open. I don't know what that part of the plan is, but it looks like that's where they're intending to install the bar.
And that, again, back to the gray area, which I'm good at. I'll use Randy's favorite, Dick's Bar, let's say. Any bar in town, once they say, that's it, we're done, we have to stop serving alcohol at 2, you can't use that building anymore for a different purpose. So my thought is, if it's not staffed, then does the whole laundromat have to be closed? Because we've now called this building a bar. Does it switch personalities?
So we've got, I think, one of the owners or operators would like to, if you would, please come up to, identify yourself, come up to the podium.
So, good evening. I'm Judd Andrews, and together with my brother Jay Andrews, we own Tire Pros and the car wash, laundromat, and proposing the laundry bar. So, answering the question about how you be open on one side and not the other, the idea for that bar area was that there would be like overhead garage doors just for the actual bar itself, not for the whole lounge, so that when the bar is closed, that shuts down, but the lounge there, the space could still be used. So that, and then also, the way the laundromat already operates is that at midnight, there's magnetic locks that come on and lock the facility down, and alarm comes on and all that. So that would still operate the same, and the bar would just only be open when the doors are open there.
I don't know that works under your ordinance. Your ordinance 145-13, which is closing hours, says no premises shall remain open for the sale of intoxicating liquor or fermented malt beverages. And then it's got the hours of operations. So, I suppose the question would be if they just close the bar but leave the lounge open for continued use, does that work? Or would they have to actually physically lock the lounge doors?
We're not open, like the laundromat is already gonna be closed at midnight anyhow. So nobody could be in there past that time. So we wouldn't be extending any hours, and the laundromat will be closed anytime that the bar would have to be closed anyhow. And we wouldn't be, of course, selling intoxicating beverages past the time either, so. I guess in my view.
How about in the morning? Obviously, there's a demand for people doing laundry first thing, maybe they worked overnight, et cetera. But we don't allow liquor sales to be commenced till 9 a.m.?
8 o'clock.
Sure. Yeah, so yes, in that case, somebody could be in there doing laundry, but we wouldn't be selling any of the beverages, and that, the bar itself would be
You're
closed.
proposing literally to roll down
Physically
garage
closed,
door
yeah.
lock.
Yeah, like a cafeteria window.
Sure.
Yep, roll up garage doors there.
Do we have a problem with, I'm looking at our attorney, is that an issue?
I don't think so.
It's kind of like what you're saying, Mike, it's a good thought, it's a good question.
Yeah.
About the multi-use of the building.
Well, and again, I like what you guys are, let's get creative and, as you mentioned, there might already be drinking going on in there without your knowledge. And I know you said you might plan on bringing on 1 or 2 more staff people to kind of roll this. So basically what I'm hearing is you'd have to have someone there, maybe not from 6 to 8, but at 8 in the morning when you start serving liquor, you'd have to have someone there till midnight.
Right.
And I don't know if, and again, I'm not trying to say here's how I do it, but I don't know if 1 or 2 staff people are gonna be able to juggle that. And with the other lounge, again, if you say, well, it's a Tuesday, we're gonna close early, that side of it, does the lounge consist of, people still gonna be hanging out, drinking? I don't know if you plan on, pool tables or gambling machines or, again, my fear is it's just gonna function like a bar, but we'll just close this garage door and pretend that
I mean, like
that's covered.
right now, there's a TV over there. There's vending machines. There's a claw game, buck hunter. So it's kind of a hangout space already on that side. So it would just continue to function that way.
Would you intend to bring the gambling machines back in?
We'd have to check into legalities of that. I mean, I don't know if that is affected or not, or how that. It's really not on our radar at this point. We're just trying to kind of, that was one draw that there once was, and we lost that, and we're trying to figure out, we've got a lot of successful businesses. We've bought this laundromat. It's been a staple in the community for 45 years, but it's old and stale, especially in light of recent larger competitors, and so we're looking for a way to revitalize it, give it some new life,
I asked that question just thinking about the premises. If the bar has a locked garage door or a gate that closes to secure the bar area so that it is closed for the sale of intoxicating liquors, but then we still have gambling machines in an area that continues to operate, is that compatible? And again, I don't know. I just ask for the purpose of trying to figure out what the use actually is.
What are your planned hours of operation then? I mean, you said till midnight, but what time do you plan to open? And will this be 7 days a week, the same hours?
Let's see if he's got.
So right now, the laundromat is open and it's automatically locked. It automatically locks at midnight and it unlocks at 5 a.m. We certainly wouldn't be serving alcohol at 5 a.m., but the plan would be, unless for some reason we can't, the laundromat would open at 5 a.m. like it does now. The bar would open at 8 or 9 or whenever we're able to, but, would be locked when it's not open. Locked and secure. We've got a camera system obviously on site now, and we'd improve that. We've been doing nothing, since we bought it last October, we've been doing nothing but improving everything inside the building and on the grounds.
Yeah, we've invested about $1 million into it so far, over and above the purchase, just updating everything, getting it running. Like I said, we own the neighboring tire shop, Tire Pros, and kind of expanding on the cutting edge that we built there, trying to do the same thing with the laundromat, bring it up to speed, make it not be a old dusty laundromat.
But yeah, I mean, basically once midnight we close, the doors automatically lock. The bar would be locked and closed at the same time. Nobody would be in the building at all at that point, and there's a security system in place with motion detectors, and there certainly wouldn't be anybody in there when we wouldn't want them in there.
But you would have an employee there until midnight.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So I
definitely.
know that you were
Definitely.
suggesting that was a way of avoiding mischief, shall we say, that might go on.
Well, yeah,
there.
I mean, right now we only have an employee there till noon, and the laundromat's open until midnight. So, I mean, literally, it's not like people aren't drinking in there. That happens on a daily basis. I mean, we can tell just taking the garbage out. There's a lot of drinking going on in there, and I suppose any laundromat, I don't know, but this is a way that now we've got somebody there that's supervising what's happening instead of it just being a free-for-all.
And as far as staffing, I know we did mention 1 or 2 people. I guess what we meant by that, and probably not the way that we conveyed it, but what we were talking about is at a time there, maybe you'll have a couple people, and hopefully the thing gets really busy and we have to hire 10 people. That's great. But just kind of to get it going.
And you're planning to serve food then as well?
Yeah, we plan on keeping it simple. I mean, it's not You know, we're not looking to compete with Pier 500, but, you know, frozen pizzas, that kind of thing, and just make it a fun environment. You know, we thought about, hey, the guys that, you know, the students at UWRF, you know, start marketing to them, bring them to come over, and, you know, I know me as a college student, I would have loved to go to a laundry bar and, you know.
And it's not a new idea. There's laundry bars across the country. We didn't come up with this. It's a successful business plan. We're just trying to differentiate ourselves from other laundry in the area. You know, Cozy Corner downtown, obviously that's North Hudson, but that burnt down, and it was literally the same thing we're talking about. It's a bar and a laundromat right next to one another. The building is certainly big enough to accommodate it. We've got a giant lounge area that used to be dry cleaning that is unused, you know, other than a few tables, and we put a claw machine and a buck hunter game in, just for something to do. Obviously, when you're doing laundry, there's not a whole lot to do other than sit on your phone, right? So we just want something that separates us from other laundry, not just in Hudson, but in Stillwater and River Falls and New Richmond, you know, anywhere. Well, speaking of New Richmond, there's a new laundry facility there that's attached to Gibby's in the same building. So it's no different than that. You're doing your laundry, you walk over, you know, to Gibby's and sit at the bar and have a Bloody Mary or whatever it might be.
What are your plans or the hours for the car wash part of the building?
Car wash is 24/7.
It's open all the time?
The car wash is open 24/7, but it's totally separate, and all the doors are locked to the laundry facility from the car wash.
Sure, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Is there a motion? Is there a different motion?
I move to deny the conditional use permit.
On what basis? Just for the record.
What?
On what basis? We need to state the basis if there's a denial on a conditional use permit.
I just think it's unconforming to what that space is for. I don't know if that's,
Incompatible.
yeah.
No conditions that we could possibly put on it that would make it compatible with the surrounding building and neighborhood.
No.
Is there a second? All right, so the motion fails for lack of a second. Is there any other motion? No other motion, so the item fails for lack of a motion.
But the conditional use permit it's currently a laundromat, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the conditional use permit is to,
Allow the addition of the bar area.
but that's not until the next part.
Correct, but from a zoning perspective, if you take a look at the staff recommendation, so they're currently not permitted to operate a bar in that space, but bars in that zoning district are a conditionally permitted use that applicants can apply for to add that particular use to their premises. So that's what they've done, is they've made application to request that they be able to add a bar area into their laundromat.
And so if we do that and they don't get the liquor license, then they just business as usual.
Correct, then they can still, theoretically, in the future, they could use that space for a bar area if they obtained a liquor license or a beer and wine license from the city, but they can't use it for that purpose and sell liquor or beer until they have a license from the city. And I think staff has made it a condition anyway that the conditional use permit doesn't issue until they have a license from the city. So it's a threshold or an initial approval, but it really doesn't become anything unless and until they have a license to either sell intoxicating liquor or beer and wine at that space.
Well, I know we're not allowed probably at this point to talk about the liquor license, but I'm sure that's on a number of our minds. How many liquor licenses are available, all that. Again, I'll stop my comments right now if it's inappropriate. But I have a feeling, cart, horse, how are we thinking this through? I mean, we are happy for your success as business owners in town, and it's nice to hear you wanting to improve. I mean, I've used that laundromat for many years. So I think, again, I don't want to discourage you, but it also, you know, the liquor licenses are very much an issue for us and I find myself thinking here now about where other establishments are in that vicinity that you can go in and get a drink, and, you know, those are things that factor in as we award those. And again, I'm gonna apologize for speaking about.
Yeah, I mean, so at this point, we had a motion that failed. That was a motion to deny. After that, we opened the floor for an alternate motion. There was no motion. So at this point, that item fails for lack of any motion whatsoever. All right, so there's no point in discussing any further unless somebody would like to make a motion. All right, nobody seems to want to do that. So the item fails for lack of a motion. All right. So, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. All right. I would say then that we would pull the item B in new business.
We should still take action on that item.
Think so? I mean, it's a moot point.
Have a discussion on it.
I think we should take action on it.
All right, that's fine. Memorandum of understanding between the City of Hudson and the Town of Troy for the Hudson Fire Department to provide expanded service area and manage a joint substation.
All right, good evening, Council, Mayor. Little history here. We provide contractual fire services for about 1/3 of the town of Troy currently. Back in 2023, we had brought before council and it was approved to expand our service area to about 2/3 of the town of Troy. And that was brought from the town of Troy at the time because when the fire station moved up on the hill, that brought it closer to serving more of the area and better response times. So since that approval back in December 23, the town of Troy, and I'll let Doug speak to this, they've evaluated providing better service for their residents in the town of Troy, and basically it involves getting them within 5 miles of a fire station for ISO ratings for insurance purposes. So to do that, they would have to have a fire station someplace within the town of Troy to get them within that 5-mile radius for insurance. So I guess late last year, we started having discussions with the town of Troy in regards to what that would look like for them. And then this kind of morphed into them wanting to lay out the infrastructure, invest in the infrastructure, and then in 2027, basically turning it over to the Hudson Fire Department or to the city to operate and manage their fire station and become a second station within our fire district. So the memorandum of understanding would be an agreement with the city and the town that we would continually collaborate with each other, and that would allow them to move forward with investing in the infrastructure and the build out to allow us to provide increased services to their citizens. And I'll let Doug speak to that.
I'll share a little more background for those of you who maybe have, I don't know if you can see this or not. I'm Doug Rowan. I'm the chairperson for the town of Troy. Talked to you a couple other times about this particular topic. We're kind of excited about resetting and optimizing our overall fire service for the next 20 years because we've got a couple inflection points that are driving that. Do you guys have access to the slides or not?
They're not popping up.
Maybe I'll speak to the simple and historical ones, and then I can ask any other questions, and we can go backwards if it gets on. So right now, our fire service is split between the city of Hudson and Hudson Fire Department to the north, and then on the southern part of the town, the River Falls Fire Department. The computer's doing something, so maybe it's going to do something exciting.
Real quick at this.
Yeah, sure.
We pay the bill on the IT.
No.
this room out here.
Yeah, it's haunted.
I know.
Keep my mouth shut.
I'll go try something else.
Okay. There's a number of things kind of colliding. Number one, there's a new contract between the River Falls Rural Fire Association and the City of River Falls that goes into effect in 2027. So that's kind of one of our inflection points. We're seeing a growing set of issues with residents getting homeowners insurance and or increasing rates because of the recent changes in the way ISO rates individual properties. And effectively, if you're more than 5 miles from a fire station, the property is rated for insurance purposes as a 10, which is the worst rating. That's the same as not having a fire service at all. And so that has been putting significant pressure on some of our residents, particularly in the center of town that are far from both the Hudson Fire Department and the River Falls Fire Department. And so that's causing some strain, and we don't see the insurance industry getting any better over the next 20 years. We think it's only going to get tougher. So it seemed like the right time to look at this opportunity. And many of our residents are also excited about the discussion you had last month, looking at putting in some partial full-time resources into the Hudson Fire Department as well, which would be another enhancement to the overall service capability that we could provide. So there's a bunch of stuff going on simultaneously, which is why this is the right time for us to say, okay, if we're going to do something that's going to last for the next 2 decades, we kind of have to do it now. I want to thank the Hudson staff for all the collaboration we've had over the summer, because it's been a lot of creative processes to say, how do we make this work, and does it work, and is it smart, and all that kind of stuff. We feel very confident this is the right thing to do for the town of Troy. I've got, you can't see the slides, but I'll tell you. So the basic new map would be that if we build this substation, which would be where our current recycle center is, we would expand the coverage area to cover about 90% of the town of Troy from the city of Hudson. There would still be a portion in the southeast corner that would be covered from the River Falls Fire Department, because that's within 5 miles of their fire station, and in some cases they have water hydrants in that area too, which again enhances the safety. So it's really a safety optimization map that we've looked at, with this new station kind of in the middle of it. With the new station in Troy, combined with the other 2 that are serving the north and the south, we get about 80% of the town of Troy within 5 miles of a fire station. So we don't get 100%, but it gets really a good chunk of our residents in that space right now, and provides better service overall. So the capabilities we'll have, we're looking at adding some rural residential focused equipment to meet the ISO ratings for pumper and tenders, about a 4,000 to 5,000 square foot building, probably with 3 bays. We already have a high capacity well in Man Valley on the southern part of town that can be used for refilling trucks when they're out from the station. And we have a dry hydrant off the St. Croix River at the Cove Boat Landing that also could be used if needed to pump water directly.
We got it now.
You got it now?
Our screens, yeah.
Great, then I don't have to say all the words.
Go back to the map.
Yeah, so I'll go back to the, so this is the proposed map. So the pink or the yellow area basically would be covered from the Hudson Fire Department, and then the blue area would be covered from the River Falls Fire Department. And I'll just go back real quickly. This is today's map. So the white area at the top is what's covered from Hudson, and the rest of it is covered by River Falls. So it is a pretty significant change in the boundaries.
Well, and there was an agreement boundary change that went halfway there, and then now we're going even further, right? The EMS boundary change?
Yeah, and the EMS services changed to kind of a 50-50 boundary. I've got that map later that I can show if you'd like to see it. That's kind of a halfway point. It reduces the drive distance to about 20% of the town, but it doesn't deal with any of this insurance stuff, and it doesn't really optimize things. So while it's better, and we still haven't been able to implement that because of contractual issues with our other partners. So it's been nothing to do with the city, it's more been on the southern end. We've had contractual issues in even implementing that boundary. And that's why this contract change that's starting in 2027 gives us the opportunity to make a big shift. The green area here shows the areas of Troy that would be within 5 miles of that new substation. So as you can see, it's a huge chunk of Troy that would be covered from that. The southeastern corner of this is within 5 miles of River Falls, and the very northern boundary is within 5 miles of the Hudson Fire Department. So we really get a large portion of Troy that's in that space. So our capabilities, we're looking to invest between $2.5 and $3 million in the capital to get this up and running and going. And plans are to be staffed with 8 to 10 volunteer firefighters. And Chief Spielman has helped us understand how this would actually work within the Hudson Fire District. Basically, when somebody calls 911, there's about 600 to 700 calls a year for the whole district. All the firefighters would be paged, both the one stationed at the main station and the Troy station. And then the fastest truck to get staffed is the first truck out. And then when they get to the site, they can determine if the rest of the trucks need to be continue to move in or not. So the Troy station would be serving the whole region. It's not just serving Troy. It would respond just like the main station does in the volunteer mode. That will shift a little bit if the full-time staffing gets put in place. But basically, they're going to be responding just like all the other volunteer firefighters we have in the department today. It's just a different response location, effectively, and a different set of volunteers. If we look at the impact on the Joint Fire Board partners, because of the expanded territory, our percentage of what we would be paying towards the cost of the fire department increases quite a bit. So in 2026, with that kind of 33% boundary, we're paying about 5.7% of the fire department costs. With this new 90% boundary, it's going to be closer to 11.5%, maybe 12% of the costs that we would be bearing, which then becomes a cost benefit to the city, but all the other partners in the Joint Fire Board. Just to give you a rough idea, projections in 2027, under the current boundary, we'd be paying about $107,000 a year. That would go up to $215,000, so a little more than double. If the full-time proposal gets approved and implemented in 2028, those numbers go up dramatically as far as what we would pay, either under the old current boundary or under the new boundary. But that works pretty well. Granted, it's a lot of additional cost for the town of Troy, especially as we fund the capital to get this thing going. But we feel like for the residents, it's the time that we can make this change to really get a much better coverage and service overall. The memo of understanding is basically similar to what we've been talking about since May. The final language you've seen, so I'm not going to go through that, but basically it outlines the things that Troy is going to invest in, the service that's going to be in place. We've already got 3 firefighters in training in the current training class that were hired in the town of Troy. Then we plan on adding more in next year's hiring and training cycle to get up to that 8 to 10. There's 2 currently trained firefighters on the Hudson Fire Department that live in Troy. So we've already got 2 that are kind of ready to go, and then 3 more in training right now. And then the goal would be from this MOU, then once that's fully approved and we've got approval to build the building, which is our next step, then we would take that framework and build it into a revised contract that would start 2027. But we want to get that contract basically in place by the end of the year if we can. It's pretty straightforward because it's the same structure, so we don't think that's going to be too big of a hurdle. The approval status, the contract with River Falls is already in place and approved. That was done in April. The substation was endorsed by the Joint Fire Commission at their last meeting in August. Tonight we're talking to you guys about it to see if you're on board. Thursday, I will ask our board to approve the revised MOU as well so that we've got that structure in place between the 2 municipalities. On September 29th is the main formal approval we need because we do need approval from our electors to build any buildings. So we're going to ask them for approval to build the building on the 29th, And then assuming that happens, we've had subcommittees working on selecting architects and basic design. We've already started the site review and soil analysis and things, and the site looks pretty practical from that standpoint. So we really don't see any practical barriers to making this work and really ramping up the service that we can jointly provide to the town of Troy. So that's kind of where we are. And I'll answer any questions or meander down any paths if there's some other information that I can give to you. But we're really excited about it, and we really appreciate especially all the work that Chief Spielman has done to get us this point.
So Doug, you assume the electors are going to approve it? If not, then what?
Well, so our assumption is it will be approved. If it's not approved, we're going to have to see what feedback we're getting that we haven't got so far. So far, the only negative feedback we've had is from people that say, I don't want my taxes to go up for any reason. Okay, so we know that's out there because it is going to cost us more money. It's about, for the average home, it's about $12 a month. It's not, impossible.
But they do realize it's going to help their insurance decrease?
It will for some. So like for me, I live close to the city. It doesn't do anything for me because I'm already within 5 miles of the fire station. Okay. So there's a mix of, not everybody gets that benefit, but everybody should get the increased service benefit. And if the full-time thing kicks in either a couple years from now or even shortly after, everybody gets that benefit, and that would go to 90% of the town effectively if we can extend the service area. So it's a big benefit for the town overall. If we
They
can do
see
everything.
that 395,000 number, are they going to push back at that, or have they?
That's not dramatically different than what it's going to cost us if we keep the old boundary.
Oh,
Because the new contract with River Falls is significantly more expensive also.
okay.
So the big difference is the capital difference. And so that's going to run around $200,000 a year that we're going to have to figure out on top of all the service costs. So the operational costs aren't that different no matter where we put the boundary. But the capital cost on top of that we're going to have to pay back for the next 20 years is the big delta between the two of them. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I have a question.
Sure.
Partly for our fire chief and the staff as well. So of our issue sheet, it's item Article 4, funding support on page 168 on tonight's agenda. I'll just read this. The town agrees to reimburse the city for any Hudson Fire Department costs directly associated with the establishment and the staffing of the Troy Fire Substation during the 2025 and 2026 calendar years, not to exceed $100,000. And then, of course, the town has to accept and ratify that. And my concern is, I think our staff's already put in probably, I don't know a dollar amount that we could assign it, but I think a number of our staff have worked on this project a lot. And of course, we're on the joint fire together. We're trying to support each other as neighbors, yet, and our fire chief obviously is responsible to all the communities that are part of that. And he goes to meetings and, defends his budget, defends his purchases to a lot of municipalities that are part of that group. But my concern is if I'm not mistaken, that our city administrator has put in quite a few hours, our finance director has, even part of the community development staff with the GIS planning and so on. There's been quite a bit, and I don't feel like the $100,000 really covers it. We had this discussion, it came up just because we were talking about potential new hires that might be allotted in our next budget. We're working on the budget right now, as your municipality is. And the question came up about that hiring this new assistant fire chief would cost $100,000. They wouldn't start until May because that $100,000 will only cover, 8 months of their salary and benefits as a city employee. But my concern is there's a lot of work that's already been done, and there's an awful lot of work that's going to be done in the next 9 months with that doesn't cover the compensation for the city. That's my concern. I would like to see Troy designate more money to help cover the staff time, hours, and input that has helped stand this up. And, certainly want to support our neighbors, and fire protection is critical. but also our community shouldn't have to, the city of Hudson should not have to bear all the expense, time and energy from our staff in, standing it up, doing that work to get the details ironed out. So that's a concern that I have of what's been proposed. I would like to see that number be like $150,000 to the city. And that's Article 4 on page 168.
Yeah, I had that circled too. You read my mind. And 100,000, nice round number, but I'm wondering if we're not just, obviously that number came from somewhere. I'm assuming there's math behind that. Maybe we're just wondering how we arrived at that number, or how you guys arrived at that number, and is that realistic for the weight that's going to be on this city over all the other members?
I guess history of the number, I wouldn't say there's a history necessarily on the number. That was a number that was agreed to early on in conversations. It may have been before there was time invested in the project. But to say there's a hard and set fast history on that number, there really isn't one, I guess. It was just agreed to at one time as we started to progress that they were going to provide additional money to help fund staff to help get this project off the ground.
Because I don't think we need to make it a profit center necessarily. That's not what you're asking for, but I'm not sure how to account for it.
Right.
If it's not 100, what is the right number?
Do you mind if I ask you as the
Hours
city-
we can track?
Right, city
Is there-
administrator, what do you see that has gone on in the last 6 months? What do you see is happening?
Yeah,
most of the work done.
I'm trying to exactly remember where the numbers came about, and I thought when we originally looked at it, we're looking at the need in the future, when this comes fully on board, we're gonna need to hire an assistant fire chief at some point, right? And I believe it was the idea that, well, if we brought somebody on, it wouldn't be a full dedication of that individual's time or Drew's time to the project. We just kind of came up with a number that was partial salary and partial amounts. But I guess if we were looking at the hours, I wouldn't have a number offhand with the amount of time that we spent on it. I have to have Drew and myself and Sam look into the numbers.
Yeah, I guess the $100,000 as it was originally proposed was, we knew Drew was gonna have to be spending time because he's our expertise. He has, and Brent has spent time, and Sam has spent time, and so, we understand that there's expertise that the city has that we need to tap into, and that takes time away from other activities. And so that's kind of where the number came from. In addition to that, we're looking at adding $3 million of capital. In addition to buying 2 trucks, we've already purchased gear for training for the firefighters, which normally would be an operational cost of the fire department. So we're not trying to make this a financial burden to the city. That's not our intent at all. And the 100,000 was really to say, we know we need some expertise to help us design the station right and get things up and running correctly. And that's where the number came from. Was there detailed math on how many hours of each of the staff was going to be needed? Not that I ever saw.
No.
And I will echo what Doug is saying too. The capital to get this off the ground, the gear, the radios, the equipment for the trucks, the station, right? The town of Troy is bearing that full cost. That is a zero cost to the city. It's a zero cost to the village and the town of Hudson. But in the end, when this becomes to fruition, that equipment and those personnel may or will benefit the city and the other partners in the event that there's a major incident. If there's a fire in North Hudson, we would centralize that equipment back to our main station to take the next call. Same thing, we've had the discussion, which has been a concern of mine, in the event the 11th Street Bridge gets done or Carmichael Bridge gets done, we don't have a lot of resources south of the interstate. This would give us that ability to have service south of the interstate should one of our bridges go out. So I think there's a lot of benefits that'll be realized further down the road that maybe aren't realized right now.
I think, including the additional contributions that the added area would bring to the table, as far as the annual fees, we saw that in the one slide that you had, that adds more to what the fire department would be bringing in for services, I guess.
So in a nice way, that $100,000 is flexible to ask for more money? Not to put you on the spot, because you've got a lot of people to answer as well.
I know our board has pre-approved the $100,000. To do something different, I would prefer not to go back and renegotiate who's paying for the equipment, who's giving it to who. You know, obviously we can do that. That probably will, to get that done in time for another council meeting or another approval and to get that alignment. I'm then worried about our electors' approval on the 29th to get the station building approved. And if that doesn't get, I mean, I'm not trying to make it difficult, but, you know, we're backed into it. We're already about 4 months behind where we wanted to be. And so to get the station up and running. So I'm cautious. I'm not saying it's impossible, but my preference would be if we can write the memo of understanding the way it is right now. If something needs to be adjusted, we still have to write the final contract, right? So this is about intent. The MOU is about intent.
Right.
That we want to work together to figure this out. We can modify things if we get smarter and we have more detail as we get into the actual contract piece of it, which we still have to do. So I'd prefer to leave the MOU structured as it is. And if there's something modified, we've even talked about maybe adding another truck, for example, if that's needed. All that's open because we want to make it work.
Sure.
But I prefer to leave some of those other details for the contractual discussion if we can, and if that's acceptable to the city council. That would be my bias.
It's a good answer.
Yeah, we're not opposed to those discussions, and we've had pretty collaborative discussions as we've been going through all this. So that's been the spirit of kind of what we've been trying to get done.
Well, I just wanted to clarify the point that the way I believe our city staff is guiding us, that contribution would go towards hiring an assistant fire chief.
I don't believe that assistant fire chief is going to be full-time dedicated to Troy.
No, of course not. No, and I think it would be just a supplementing. It's been we've been explained to us that Troy, this funding would help pay for the first year of that individual during the transition, bringing Troy into a different, having the substation. We have to bear in mind that, I just want to make sure that it's, our fire chief needs support. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot going on and a lot of meetings, and we're contemplating going to a referendum to ask for a major change, which will affect, of course, Troy as well.
As are we.
Absolutely. We're partners. Let's look at it that way. I'm just saying that the sooner that we could hire an assistant fire chief, that during that year of the transition, bringing a substation on in design and all of that for Troy, and also working towards the potential of having a referendum. That's a big workload.
The design of the building will effectively be done by the end of this year.
Beg your pardon?
The design of the building will effectively be done by the end of this year.
There's been a lot of work done already.
Because we need to start construction in the spring.
Sure.
So, from a design standpoint, that's what we're doing right now. Okay. And again, we would reimburse for, the chief's time and staff's time. That is the intent of the $100,000, for us to help to reimburse for part of that.
And I was just trying to frame it in bringing in an additional staff person, which we are going to need if the city does move forward to having more hired staff, having an assistant chief. And there's a big workload in the next 18 months. Mm-hmm. And I just would like to see the potential for bringing on an assistant fire chief sooner than later. That's how I stand on it. But thank you. Appreciate, again, trying to look at it as partners.
All right. Anybody else?
Are you looking for a formal motion on this? Accept a memo of understanding? Yep. I'll move to do so.
A second.
Motion second to approve memo of understanding. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks very much.
All right, I am going to back up. We are going to go back to the conditional use permit, item L, is that right? JKL? M? Okay, I'm sorry. Item M, and here's why. So while it is accurate that generally a motion that has, an issue item that has no motion whatsoever would fail, but in conversation here with our attorney, city attorney, because it is an application that has been presented to us, he feels more comfortable if we in fact take action on that. So either approve or disapprove that application.
I'll restate my motion to deny.
Okay, and for the reasons that were stated.
Yes.
Right? Correct. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Wow, right back to square one. All right, we have a motion and a second to deny. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
The motion is approved. All right, so resolution applying for exemption from county library tax. I'm sorry. No, I apologize. I'd already crossed that off the agenda. You guys wanted it on there, though. Okay. Application for reserve Class B beer, Class B liquor license at 900 Industrial Street, St. Croix Car Wash.
I would just like to state that I did pass out a letter of, in favor that came in after the packets went out for you guys to take a look at. That is to go with the application for the liquor license.
Okay, so everybody understand the issue?
Are there any other applicants right now or any consideration? Is this the last liquor license that we have?
This is the only application I have on file.
Well, and once again, I think it's a moot point. We're going to have to, you want to have an affirmative vote one way or the other on this, but there is no conditional use permit. We're not going to allow a liquor license over there without the conditional use permit.
Move to deny the liquor license application based on no conditional use permit.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to deny. Any discussion?
Yes, please. I would like to go back to my comment earlier about many times when we are awarding liquor license. And again, I feel like that some of the hesitation, maybe the laundry bar isn't the exact fit that some of us might be thinking of for Hudson. But I think a bigger issue is how many liquor licenses we have and who do we award those to. I know a concern was how much food they are serving. If they were to go for just a beer and wine license, there would have to be a significant amount of food served. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's a restriction for them there. They can't pursue that avenue.
Right.
Okay, so I also, when we do, I mean, this is certainly applied when we're awarding a liquor license to a retail outlet. How many are in the vicinity? In other words, are we crowding a lot of areas, whereas it'd be nice to serve our residents by having things spread out more. So I'm trying to think about that neighborhood and where else. I mean, there is several liquor stores down the street. There's several restaurants that have a full bar. There's a lot of, when you look at as of the 2020 plan, comprehensive plan that we approved, or excuse me, the 2020 census that was utilized in the 2021 comprehensive plan, it shows that Hudson is 60% homeowners and 40% renters. So that's a pretty high number, and I'm pretty sure it's going to climb at the rate that we're approving multifamily homes. So that's what we're being approached with. People are wanting to bring in multifamily homes. There are a lot of multifamily homes in that part of town. Again, perhaps your average homeowner might choose somewhere else to go. Maybe they don't have to go to a laundromat. I have to confess, I only go on occasion when I've got rugs, blankets, or my own washing machine is broken, but I have been a patron of that laundromat for many years. So is it serving a population? Again, I feel like it's sort of cart ahead of the horse that these both came the same night. but I realize why they are. But I just think it's something to think about. Is that an area and a clientele, a population base of Hudson that, again, might utilize a laundromat and also have sort of a social environment there? Just my comments about how we award those. That's why I was asking our clerk, actually. You don't know of any other applicants coming forward?
I have
That you
nothing
know
on
of?
file.
Haven't received anything? Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, we have a motion before us to deny. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion is approved. All right, resolution applying for exemption from county library tax.
Good evening, Shelley Tugas, Library Director. The resolution that you have is required to be passed every year in order for Hudson City residents to be exempt from the St. Croix County Library levy. And we will submit that resolution. If you pass that tonight, I'll make sure it gets taken care of right away.
Move to approve resolution 18-25.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thank you, Shelley. Thanks for waiting for that. Oh, it's probably up anyway, huh? The department. All right, 2026 infrastructure projects pending final budget approval. Aaron?
Hi, City Engineer Aaron McPhee Anderson. So this item is just to approve the 2026 infrastructure projects so we can get working on them. And it sounds like Mike Mraz has already presented and there's discussion at finance. So I guess, is there any other questions?
Anybody?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thank you, Aaron. Chief. Police Chief. Jeff.
Good evening. August calls for service are attached. I'll entertain any questions anybody might have for those.
I have a question. I just want to make sure that the general public understands how this information was put together. So this is a combination, I know we've talked about this, but it's a combination of the 911 calls, and then plus the direct calls to the department.
Correct.
And it
And
does
then
not
anything-
include the detectives.
Does not include the detectives, but anything a patrol officer encounters on their own.
So any interactions with the public or,
Correct. So a traffic stop. They get flagged down or are asked for assistance. We get a call from a neighborhood about wanting extra stop sign or speeding enforcement done, and our officers perform those extra patrols. Those are logged. But that is what is in the calls for service log, yes.
thank you.
So Jeff, is there a report generated for each one of those calls then? So like a traffic stop that results in nothing, is that that's reported as?
Technically, it's not a report, but yes, there's a log of who was contacted, the registration information, the officer that made the stop, and the disposition of the stop.
So, but as far as like taking time for the officer that was involved?
Not all of them, no.
No, okay. Is there a way that we can get to, is it easy to differentiate then between the total number of calls and those calls that actually generated a report?
Yeah, we can search for case numbers. So we'll take a case number on anything that we have to write a report on, which is probably 75 to 80% of the things that we do.
Yeah.
And those are done by case number. So you have a CFS number, which is call for service number, and that's assigned by the dispatch center. And then you have a report an incident number, which is specifically assigned to the Hudson Police Department as an incident.
Okay.
think this might be a point of privilege, but let me know if not. I think.
She has her book, so.
I think. But I am wondering, in reference to the public comment, if, I don't know if here or in the future report that you give, if you can just walk us through how we use the flat camera in Hudson.
Yeah.
And so maybe tonight, obviously tonight's not the time, but I didn't know if that was an agenda item or something for you to have in the report, just so that public knows.
Yeah, I can talk about that anytime.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that we bring it up at the Public Safety Committee, just to have that information out to
Sure.
the public.
Walk you through how it works.
Wherever it's appropriate.
Yep, no problem.
Okay.
Other than that, the only other updates I have is we just lost 3 people to the Woodbury Police Department. Just to give kind of an idea, that's 10% of my staff. So we are in the hiring process here, have been for the last couple of weeks. Applications will close the first week of February or the first week of October, and we hope to get some qualified applicants for that process. Any questions?
Anybody?
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jeff. Fire? Drew?
Enclosed in the council report tonight was our monthly report for the month of August. Nothing out of the ordinary. We did have one structure fire in the city of Hudson for the month of August. We had an attic fire over on Grandview Way. Was contained to the one unit, so significant damage to the one unit, but it was held to that one. The only thing I will mention is this past week, Brent and I met with a couple PR firms to go over what it would look like hiring somebody to help with referendum questions. I think we had a very good dialogue with one of them. We're currently waiting for requests for proposals or proposals to come in from those companies to see what they offer and the cost associated with them. I reached out to 3, only 2 got back to us, so the third one was not responsive. So.
That was Becky. You can answer it.
I know I've got it in my email.
Okay.
Is this like high school where you pass them out?
Points I would call attention to in the library report. We are expanding our hotspots that are available for patrons to check out. The waiting lists have been very long. And we were originally able to offer these thanks to a grant from Hudson's Noon Rotary. And the Friends of the Library this last week voted to give us additional funding to add 5 new hotspots. And that will really help alleviate the wait list for people who need these. 2 events I'd just like to call attention to. We have Booyah on October 4th. I don't know if anyone's mentioned that here before. And thank you if you're able to join us in any capacity. We'd love that. And October 25th, we are having our annual Trick or Treat Trail. And this year we are holding it indoors. I think staff just looked at the tea leaves and couldn't believe we'd have 4 years in a row of good weather. And we have had it indoors before, so we know how to pull that off. And finally, our teen advisory board has grown. I think sometimes we get 25 or 30 kids to come to one of those meetings, which is incredible. And so our teen librarian has started a teen advisory board junior, because we have younger kids who are really interested in providing service, not just to the library, but the projects that we do in the community. So are there any questions?
Anybody?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Shelley. Thanks for pushing the Booyah, too. And Sam.
Good evening, Council. Sam Hasu, Finance Director. I held most of you guys for a good 2.5, 3 hours last week, so I don't have a whole lot to update you on, other than budget will be back in front of you on October 6th, and hopefully we'll have some firmer numbers in terms of health insurance, and we'll present some options for how we get to a balanced budget. That's all I have.
Any questions? Thank you, Sam. All right, all I have is once again reiteration of what Shelley said about the Booyah. hope everybody can make it. We certainly have a lot of great partners that are helping out. And I want to thank all of them, again, probably to mention their names: County Market, RJ's, Paul Rohde with Agave To Go, Pete Foster with Barker's, County Market, did I say that already? Yeah. Chaconis is helping us to get some beer and root beer in. And once again, thank you to all of them. And anybody that wants to help out, we'll see you at 4 in the morning on October 4th or anytime during the day. And of course, we're going to be slicing and dicing, I think, starting on Wednesday. All of that should be, the vegetables to be done Wednesday before, and browning meat over, hopefully, at Faith Community on Thursday and into Friday, if it works out that way. It usually has, into Friday morning, early afternoon. So thank you all who have helped in the past, and we look forward to getting some participation once again. Anybody else? Motion?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.